Here we go. Well, hello there again, folks. Feels like we just saw each other. Well, we did actually, because we saw each other about what, like, we did the part one about 7 hours ago, and now here we are, part two of our free agency spectacle. Um, of here on the IM6 network and the MI6 Sports Network. We're going to have a lot of fun stuff to talk about. It's going to be fun. Can't wait for it. If you guys are watching via YouTube, please subscribe, like the video, share the video everywhere. If you're watching it on the MI6 Sports Network Facebook page, please like and comment and follow, and also subscribe to our Facebook page. And also, if you're watching via our IM6 YouTube account, please like and also share it everywhere. We want to get this great content out to all the viewers out there. Welcome in, folks. My name is Isaiah Leon. Welcome into our part two of our NFL free agency spectacle. We had a very, very fun watch party here the first go around, and your boy drank too much coffee, and guess what? Here we are doing part two of our free agency spectacle. If you wanna come in, talk some football with me, give your reactions to some of the news that broke here tonight, please feel free, comment down below. I'll put the link down in the comment section, and we'll go from there, and we'll have a great time. We'll have a blast on the show tonight. Probably not go as long as we did on the first part of the free agency spectacle. We went, I think, like 2.5 hours, but we're probably gonna maybe shoot for like 45 minutes to an hour, and then we'll go from there. But I drank too much coffee. There's a lot of moves that has happened that we did not get a chance to get into while we were on the air for the first 2.5 hours portion of the show. So here we are. We're gonna just go live, and we're gonna talk about all the big stuff that has happened here in free agency thus far while we were off the air. And we'll go from there. But yeah, if you want to hop on, feel free to join me, and we'll just chat and talk some football. Oh, right here, perfect timing. We got my first guest here, my guy Loro. Loro, it's been a long time, man, since we have done a show together, man. Thanks for joining this free agency spectacle. We may be doing like a couple days of this, who knows, depending on how crazy free agency gets. But Loro, how are you doing tonight, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. I mean, this NFL free agency is off to a good start, and I expect big things this offseason for my Patriots. Drafting Jacoby Brissett's not going to do us any good, though, but I do expect our starting quarterback next year to be a rookie.
Yeah, I agree because the Mac Jones trade, Mac Jones is no longer a Patriot. For all those out there that missed that, he's now a member of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And also now we have today Jacoby Brissett has signed with the Patriots. So that means Bailey Zappi most likely will be gone from New England. But Laurel, let's go to the first portion of the day because I know you missed this the first part of this free agency spectacle. What were some of your thoughts on some of the early moves, like Kirk Cousins going to the Falcons? You had Saquon Barkley going to the Eagles. Let's start with Kirk to the Atlanta Falcons. What do you think about that move? Does Kirk Cousins make the Atlanta Falcons and contender in the NFC South?
Honestly, I think he does. I mean, because I thought the Falcons were going to get Justin Fields because Justin Fields fits that dynamic of the offense. But now with Kirk Cousins, he has familiarity with Raheem Morris. Basically, he knew him from his time in Washington, and I do think that we are going to see a really good offense that is going to be a balanced attack, which is run the football with Bijan and then pass the football because I think Drake May and Kyle Pitts are going to get a lot of attention in that offense. As for Saquon Barkley to the Philadelphia Eagles, I just think that this makes a lot of sense because when you look at it, the Eagles want to get redemption from last year. I mean, they're on a mission. So, anyways, those are my thoughts on that. But I do think the Eagles are going to be a very explosive offense now that you have Saquon Barkley in the backfield.
Oh, truly. I agree with Laura with your thoughts on Kirk Cousins. In fact, I was talking to a friend of mine today, and I said, you know what? Kirk Cousins just made the Falcons the leader in the NFC South because the thing with the Falcons is they had all these weapons, right? They had Bijan Robinson, Alec Greer, they had Drake London, Kyle Pitts. They didn't know how to utilize them. So now you have a quarterback in Kirk Cousins who can actually throw the football to those guys and get the ball to those guys and let them make plays. I think it's huge for Atlanta. And then in terms of Saquon, Laurel, I respectfully disagree. I think Saquon will be effective, but my worry is the offensive line. Jason Kelsey's no longer there. There's other talks that other people could go. Yeah, Jason Kelsey's no longer there to man that offensive line. So who's going to play center for them is a big concern of mine. And there's other concerns along that offensive line as well. And you guys know, like when you run the football, you have to have a good offensive line to get that push. And I don't know if Philly will be able to. But welcome in my other co-host for the night, my guy Ben Cruz. Ben, it was great to. It was great to have you on about 7 hours ago.
Yeah.
This show just literally came up randomly. I just decided, you know what? I've had a couple too much coffees to drink. It's been crazy ever since we got off the air for the first part of this quote unquote free agency spectacle. And there's been so much going on that I just felt like, you know what, we have to like do something because we probably will miss some of the big stories of free agency day one as like the other moves, as more moves come by. But Ben, how are you doing this evening?
Good. Obviously, it was great to come on earlier today with you, Isaiah and James and Sammy, for my work, which is very unlike most of the times that I come on for the program. But I was able to kind of hop on for a bit, and I decided maybe to come back on tonight to kind of go more of the other stuff that we didn't get the chance to talk about. And obviously, Lauro, it's a great pleasure to have you on as well, my friend, because it's been a hot minute since we've talked. So I thought, I'd come back on and, catch up again.
Yeah, definitely. And folks, like we've mentioned earlier, we're probably going to be doing more of these free agency spectacles, depending on how much news and how big news come in the next coming days. So make sure you guys keep in touch with us and tune in for that because we'll probably have more of these free agency spectacles and maybe draft. We'll definitely have a draft spectacle. Don't know about how many exact shows we'll do, but it's going to be fun for sure. But I'm sitting with two Patriots fans, so I definitely got to get into the Patriots first. Since we got off the air, the Patriots signed linebacker Simone Takitaki from the Browns, as well as signed Jacoby Brissett from the Cleveland Browns to a 1-year, $8 million contract, and also re-signed a guy that, Ben, you knew I really wanted, and that was Michael Onwenu, the guard for the New England Patriots. You guys re-signed him. Congratulations on that. And then Mac Jones traded to the Jaguars, so that means Mac Jones is out the door. Bailey Zappi might be following him, following the news of Jacoby Brissett, being signed by the Patriots. Laura, I'll start with you first on this. What do you think about the first the first day of free agency moves for your New England Patriots?
I'll start. I think when the Patriots got Jacoby Brissett, I think it's more of like he's going to be the backup quarterback to either Drake May or Jaden Daniels. I mean, a lot of people say he's going to be a bridge quarterback, but I kind of feel like that Gerard Mayo is going to start his own person and have a veteran backup quarterback. So Jacoby Brissett, I think, is going to be the backup quarterback to either Drake May or Jaden Daniels.
All right. Loro, do you think that Brissett going to New England, does that mean that Bailey Zappi is going to be out the door for New England? Because you're going to have Brissett, you're going to have the rookie that you're going to draft, and then presumably you're most likely, if you do keep him, you're going to keep Zappi, but I don't know if Zappi would want to be a third-string quarterback. What's your whole thought on that?
I think you got to keep Bailey Zappi because you need him as an emergency quarterback just in case if something happens to Brissett or May or Daniels. But for me, when it comes to the rookie class for quarterbacks, I'm all in on Drake May being a New England Patriot.
All right, yeah, I mean, Drake May's definitely the favorite right now. Ben, I'll go to you next on this. Since we got off the air, Michael Onwenu has signed with the Patriots. The Patriots have gotten Jacoby Brissett, as well as they've also gotten Simone Takitaki. And there's also reports that Elliott Wolf is just nonstop working the phone. So there may be big moves coming left and right for the Patriots. Who knows? But Ben, what are some thoughts of yours that you have on some of these moves that your Patriots have made since we last came on the air?
Yeah. Obviously on my show on Sunday, of course, with you, Zay and James, we talked, of course, kind of the early on moves of Kendrick Bourne and Hunter Henry, of course, which I think Lauro, we both are very in favor for. And then obviously, today, I thought specifically that a lot of this offseason so far is basically kind of what I asked for, which is kind of scary to think because a lot of the times the Patriots don't go out and spend a lot, just in years past. But, this is kind of how it feels with a really good GM, Elliott Wolf. I think he's really done a good job to kind of, move some, stuff around. And plus, too, they released of Devontae Parker. So that opens up a little even more cap space to kind of look at in terms of next couple of days. But Mike Onwenu, man, I was very 50-50 in terms of they're going to make him come back or not. But if they were, it was going to be massive because, yes, they need a receiver badly, and I think they will get a chance to get a receiver. I don't know who it's going to be, but my presumption is hopefully Calvin Ridley. If not him, I have a couple other guys we could talk about. But getting Onwenu back is absolutely massive. Anchors your line. He can play guard. He can play tackle. He's very versatile. So I absolutely love that. Outside of him, Bourne and Henry, those are kind of the three in-house, presumably, that they got. So I'm really happy for that. They also brought Simone Takitaki from the Browns. Laura, I don't know if you happen to remember, but Mac Wilson today got traded to the Cardinals. So they need some insurance and the linebacker position, and he could kind of fill that specific void that Mac Wilson had, where he essentially can kind of come in different types of packages. Another thing, too, Isaiah, is Takitaki played Elliott Wolf actually knew Takitaki when he's over with Cleveland. So essentially, I think he kind of already had a little bit of a tape on him, and that's, I think, the reason why they brought him in. So I'm all in favor for it. And plus, I think they got him for like $7 to $10 million is an absolute steal for a guy that put up pretty decent stats. So I really like that move too. And then that was kind of the side is Jalen Rieger came back. Rieger is obviously a guy that not a lot of people wanted. And people were like, "Oh my God, this is number one receiver of the Patriots." No, guys, it's just more for kickoff return, special teams type of thing. They were really high on him last year, which I think the Patriots have had a hard time finding guys that have had really good in terms of kickoff return, punt return type of games. So I think that Rager could come in and kind of give you that. So pretty busy day overall for the Patriots. But the funny thing is I don't think this is even the biggest day that they're going to have because I just think that Elliott Wolf's going to keep on going. I think Josh Uche's got to watch out for that could be on the move. Juju Smith-Schuster, Devontae Parker could be definitely for sure on the move. And then obviously that number one receiver I'm still looking at specifically to kind of complete a really good offseason for the Pats.
Yeah, I'm kind of shocked that your Patriots haven't just gone all out because I thought okay, free agency opens. I thought that they would be one of the teams out there. I thought they would be like the Jags, that they would just go out and spend on this guy, spend on this guy, spend on this guy, and you would see all that money being spent. But I mean, the Patriots are just keeping they've spent a little bit of the money, but I mean, they still have a lot of money to spend.
Yeah.
So it will definitely be interesting to see what happens tomorrow, because if today is an indication of what is going to go on, oh my gosh, I mean, we're going to have a massive, I mean, we might even have to do another free agency spectacle show tomorrow.
Oh, for sure.
Because
Yeah.
of how crazy it's been. Whether it's news of signings or trades. I mean, we already had a big one today. But yeah, I mean, I'd be interested. I think the Patriots, Ben and Laurel, are going to have a busy day tomorrow, and I could see a run on offensive weapons, like offensive line, maybe some receivers as well, veteran receivers, running back that you can put around your either Brissett or.
Oh yeah, forgot to mention Gibson today. Gibson as well.
Yes.
Of course, I mentioned that earlier. Laura, what do you think of the acquisition of Antonio Gibson? That kind of flew under the radar today, but they've kind of needed that pass catching third down back for the last couple of years that they've really struggled with. And another thing too about Jacoby Brissett, real quick before I go to you, Laura, is this is exactly the guy that I wanted this offseason because I think personally, and I know you asked Laura about Bailey Zappi, Isaiah, I think Bailey Zappi is going to be available because right now they brought back Nathan Rourke, so he's going to be the number 3, and they can't carry 4 quarterbacks. So I think specifically, I think Bailey Zappi is probably going to try to move on and try to be a quarterback 2 somewhere. He's definitely not going to get the chance now here because presumably the Patriots are going to draft the quarterback number 3, and then they're going to have Brissett at number 2, QB2. So I think that pretty much is somebody has to be out the door. And if Mac Jones is out the door, I think that Bailey Zappi is ready to move on as well too. So I love the Brissett thing too. Another thing too I like about it is because he knows the system. He's obviously already been in New England, so it's just per se, if May or Daniels goes down or they struggle for the first couple games, well, you have Brissett there, and you remember guys with the Commanders, right? Sam Howell last year had a pretty good weeks for the first couple weeks there. He goes down, or he had some sack issues and stuff like that. Brissett comes in, and he didn't even do bad. I mean, he's not going to obviously, he's like kind of Gardner Minshew, where he could be like a filler type of guy. He can maybe start a week here and there. Of course, he shouldn't be your long-term guy, but, this is exactly what I wanted. I know a lot of people, obviously, for the Pats were just go and get a guy like Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. We got to talk about Justin Fields, by the way, because, oh my goodness, the amount of less smoke. I had to think that something's coming with Justin Fields because it's absolutely ridiculous.
We also breaking news here, guys. Sorry to interrupt. That Sam Darnold is going to the Minnesota Vikings.
Whoa!
Wow! This is at 1:10 a.m. my time. Who would have thought?
Wow! Wow, see, this is why we're doing this watch party, because the NFL never sleeps, because we did one in the morning, and then after we did it, all of a sudden you had so much stuff break, and now literally at 10 p.m. Pacific time, 1 a.m. Eastern on the East Coast, Sam Darnold has chosen the Minnesota Vikings. Oh my gosh, what a midnight bomb right there from Laurel. But yeah, let me get your guys' thoughts on that. Sam Darnold to the Vikings. Wow, he's gonna presumably now be the Vikings' new starting quarterback to replace
You
Kirk
don't know
Cousins?
that, Isaiah. I don't really think he might well be the starting quarterback because I feel like the Vikings are eyeing one of those top quarterbacks in the draft.
Yeah. I think he's going to be a bridge. I don't think because the thing with Bo Nix is I feel like, and it's a 1 year, $10 million contract. So it's
Oh,
not a
good,
bad
good
deal.
deal. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a good deal. I like the move. I think that
Mm.
you know what, they're not going to pay Kirk Cousins like the massive deal that he got from the Atlanta Falcons. So for Sam Darnold to be a Viking, I mean he's going to be in that Shanahan style system with Kevin O'Connell, which I think would fit him. And then $10 million. Now you have money to spend on like other pieces and other players. So I do like this deal for Kirk Cousins. You get it pretty cheap, and then like Lowell, you mentioned, you can get a JJ McCarthy, you can get a Bo Nix, you can get one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL draft, and you can afford to let a JJ McCarthy or a Bo Nix sit for a year and learn, and then take over after Darnold's deal expires. So I like this deal for the Vikings. I know I don't really talk good about the Vikings a lot, but you know what? I do like this deal for the Vikings. And you know what? This is enough. We talked about Justin Fields. The sweepstakes for Justin Fields just went down even more because Minnesota was a team that was interested in him. And now, what do you do if you're the Bears? Like, if you have nobody wanting Justin Fields, I mean, it's not good. But yeah, Loro, what do you think about this Sam Darnold to Minnesota news?
It doesn't mean that the Justin Field sweepstakes is over just because I think the Vikings can still swing at him. I mean, I think that Donald could back up Justin Fields because I know the Bears are going to be drafting Caleb Williams.
Yeah, I mean, it could happen, but it would be interesting to see where he goes because I don't think he's going to get a starter job now, Justin Fields. Um, I it will be hard pressed. I know there's one place that I know our guy James Gonzalez doesn't want him to go to, and that's the Raiders. I know he was
On the back of Luke
extremely.
Getsy.
Oh yeah, I mean he was pissed off when you guys need to hear it. He was pissed off when they got when the Gardner Minshew news broke on the air, and he went on a
Oh,
rampage on
oh
air.
no.
Man, you missed it,
This was
but
this was after I left.
yes, he
All right,
was. Oh
I
my,
gotta rewatch the video. I gotta rewatch the video before I go to bed on this.
you have to. Oh my God, it was
All
it
right.
was legendary. But yeah, if and he was saying like if they get Justin Fields, man, he will absolutely go off. So imagine if the Raiders get Justin Fields, Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew. Like that's your quarterback room in the AFC West with Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert. Good luck. But Ben, what do you think about this Darnold deal?
I like it. I agree with Lower. I don't think it's the end all be all with the Vikings. I think that he can, kind of like the 49ers situation. He could either be the starter for maybe a couple games here and there, or be the backup. He has experience in both. Now, I think for the Vikings, they should probably go and draft whether it's JJ McCarthy or Michael Penix. I think they have that opportunity there because you got Justin Jefferson there. And if Justin Jefferson essentially has Sam Darnold for the next couple of years as a starting quarterback, yeah, no offense to Sam Darnold, but he essentially is not going to be a guy, in my eyes at least, that's going to make Justin Jefferson, I think, consistently happy. So they have to have a specific type of direction, especially the way after Kirk Cousins has moved on. If Kirk Cousins stayed, I think that Justin Jefferson is all set, ready to go. But I think that now it's like, all right, Justin Jefferson probably should have a clear decision specific in terms of what the quarterback direction is going to be. And Sam Darnold is fine, but hopefully they have another plan in place because in the NFC North specifically, presumably Caleb Williams is going to be there. Obviously, the Lions and Packers are still going to be a really good team. So it's like, I don't know, man. I mean, I did hear about the Vikings though that they might get Aaron Jones. That's what I did hear. About an hour or two ago. But yeah, I mean, I don't hate the move for the Vikings right now, but I just hopefully that they have something else coming because I can't be their starter. I just can't.
1 year, 10 million is not bad, and you're just hoping
Yeah,
that Darnold may have resurrected his career and fixed his mechanics under Kyle Shanahan. I think that is what you're hoping with this deal. Also, I think you're hoping that for the 49ers, you need to get a new backup quarterback
I was gonna
because
say, yep.
Brandon Allen's not the guy. He's not going to be the backup. He cannot be the backup. Maybe Bailey Zappi to the Niners, Ben. I know I went on local radio and I talked about that, but yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what Minnesota does. That opens up another draft possibility now. By the way, if there's any breaking news that you guys have, feel free to just yell it on the air. So because we're probably gonna have more.
Or I'll just put two hands up like this if there's breaking news. I'll just.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good. Let's get to the other stuff. Brian Burns. This came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Brian Burns
Wow.
traded to the New York Giants. The Panthers didn't even get a first round pick back in return for Brian Burns. I know Brian Burns is gonna sign an extension with the New York Giants. So the Giants lose Saquon. But they gain couple of defenders and also Brian Burns. Brian Burns getting a $150 million 5-year extension. That's $30 million per year. Laura, let me go to you first. What is your thoughts on the Giants landing Brian Burns and then extending him 3 years, $150 million? Oh, go ahead, Ben. Go ahead.
Breaking news. The Buffalo Bills have a re-signed veteran defensive tackle Daquan Jones to a 2-year, $16.5 million deal that'll keep him in Buffalo. So the Bills, obviously, they kind of restructured a little bit of money around with Josh Allen.
Yep.
They kept AJ Epinesa today, and now they're keeping Daquan Jones, defensive tackle.
Wow. Okay. So the Bills they actually kept the player on their defense for once, which is good. But
Two guys, actually.
Two guys. Yeah. Yeah. But so good move for the Bills there. But Brian Burns, Ben, he had 8 sacks last year, 12 and a half the year before. I mean, this guy can get after the passer. The Panthers, good Lord, have been losing a lot of players on defense, and they have been really getting very bad value back in return for those guys. But what do you think about this trade? For me, it's weird just because the Giants lost so much offense, and it just seems like the Giants are going to become like a defensive team, which doesn't make a lot of sense. With Brian Burns, you can have a good defense, but you got to score points. And I don't know how they're going to do it because and I looked this up today, fellas. Daniel Jones is going to be their quarterback coming off a torn ACL. Devin Singletary is a running back. I mean, he's a decent back, but he's not Saquon Barkley.
Mm-hmm.
You know who their receivers are? You know who the
Okay. Let me guess. Darren Waller.
Okay. Darren Waller, yep, tight end.
Isaiah Hodgins.
Yep.
Oh my God. Sterling Shepard's out. Man, wait. Jalen Hyatt.
Yep.
He's not bad, but he's not nothing special. Yeah. I don't know what else is there.
That's literally the Giants' offensive weapons. Darren Waller cannot stay healthy.
Nope.
Jalen Hyatt's a deep threat who was
He's young.
Yeah, he's all right. I mean, Devin Singletary, he's not anything flashy. He's decent. I feel like he's kind of washed at this point because with Houston, he wasn't all that special. I know Ben and Laurel, you guys are big fans of Brian Dable. I don't know how he survives this, honestly, because if this offense is plays the way that they are, how we think they're gonna play, it might be the Patriots offense from last year where you have the defense doing all they can to stop the other team, But you guys know best. The defense is going to eventually break if the offense
Oh
doesn't
yeah.
score points. And Brian Dable's alienated a lot of coaches. Players have wanted out because of his coaching style. So yeah, I mean, I don't understand this move, Ben. I really don't. As Loro had to go. Thanks, Loro, for hopping on. But yeah, I mean, I don't understand. I know you get a star pass rusher, but what about the offense?
Right. I mean, and obviously the Patriots kind of had this situation offensively where you just can't bank on your defense to consistently score you the points. And that's what obviously Elliott Wolf said this offseason is they have to weaponize the offense. And that's kind of at least hopeful signs where, you get a backup quarterback, you get a third down running back that's a catching back. Hopefully in the next couple of days we'll get a number one receiver because we'll have the money to have it happen. Brian Burns move, I mean, to the Giants of all places. I mean, it's really good for them. I mean, their defense should be scary, but it's all comes down to being a balanced attack. And they have one kind of area of their balance, and that's defense. And offense is very suspect. You got to get offensive line help to protect Daniel Jones. You still have not gotten that much. I think they got a guy from, it was like, who is it from Green Bay they got, Isaiah? Didn't they get an offensive tackle?
Yeah, they got Runyon.
Joe.
Joe,
Yeah, yeah.
Joe
Who's not
Runyon, yeah.
okay, that's not awful. I mean, maybe they go and get like a David Bakhtiari who got released today. You gotta have some type of protection there, and then obviously maybe get even Michael Thomas, like a guy specifically that probably won't cost you a whole lot, but he's a veteran. He can maybe at least break out or something. He's like I said, he's not the guy he once was. But they need to get a veteran receiver in there that is a guy that can be a difference maker. I know that they got Waller, I believe, last year. And I think at the time, a lot of Giant fans like, oh my god, like this is our guy. And then of course, like he just couldn't stay on the field. He's just not been the same guy he once was. So yeah, I just it hasn't worked out. But for Brian Burns, I mean, him and Kayvon Thibodeau should be absolutely disgusting. If they got some defensive line help, that defense is going to be absolute a menace, specifically for sure for opposite teams. You look at the Giants got the Eagles this year, and the Eagles looked like probably the best offense for the first 9-10 weeks. And then, of course, when the Giants play the Eagles, at the end of the regular season, their defense was balling. It was all about their offense that essentially has held them back. And when I went to the Pats Giants game, I mean, that might have been one of the worst games I saw offensively. And that's coming from me watching the Jets with Zach Wilson and Patriots with Mac Jones. I mean, this would have topped that last year. I mean, I only went because one of my buddies, a Giants fan, he was clamoring for me to go. So I'm like, all right. It was Thanksgiving weekend. I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? But, it was just to watch football. It was a good time. But I'm like, goodness gracious. Now they obviously lose Saquon, of course, your best offensive weapon. I might have to come to the draft. I mean, the draft has a lot of good receivers. So, yeah, it's going to be, for Burns, I think he got a really good overall payday in terms of from them, but just the overall fit, it's just not going to really matter specifically if they can't get offense. So, as I think you're muted,
Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you, James. Isaiah's muted.
Oh, great. Okay, so
Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that. But yeah, I mean, I was just gonna say Brian Burns. I agree with you, Ben. The Giants just feel like an incomplete team. They feel like okay, defensive line. We solved it. We got Kayvon Thibodeau. We got Brian Burns. Okay, that's great. But guess what? Your secondary, you lost Xavier McKinney. You lost a
Mhm.
couple linebackers as well. So you fix your defensive line, but then how about the rest of your defense? And then you talk about the other part of your team, your offense. Who's scared of Sterling Shepard, Jalen Hyatt, Darren
Sterling
Waller?
Shepard's not even there anymore.
Oh, Sterling Shepard's not. I mean, no longer there. So I mean, that makes
Yeah.
it even worse. Like I just don't understand what the Giants are doing. Okay, you have Daniel Jones. He's turning the ball over like crazy. So what you're supposed to do is run the football, and then you let Saquon go because you don't want to pay an extra $5 to $6 million. Okay, that's fine. You bring in Devin Singletary, who's a nice back, but he's not explosive as Saquon.
You know who they should get? Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon got cut
yeah,
today from the Bengals, and Mixon's a game changer. And I was
Yes.
saying this on Twitter today that the running back market, I don't know if it was just last year where everybody was kind of disappointed in terms of players reaching out saying how much the running backs were getting paid here and there. It's almost like today was like a payback type day because you feel like the
Mm-hmm.
whole entire day today was all running backs getting paid. It was absolutely crazy, and it wasn't just like running backs. They're really good running backs. Guys that got cut, Joe Mixon, Aaron Jones. Those are really good running backs. It's like you know it's a cold business, and that's obviously kind of what happened. But man, so and look at the Bengals guys. T. Higgins requested a trade. They got Zach Moss though. Zach Moss, I think, with Indy balled out low key. So I think that would be a good move.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just it's crazy to think. So yeah, but I think Mixon in New York would be a cool fit.
That's what the Giants need. They need some explosive playmakers because right now that offense sadly is not scaring anybody. I don't know how if they have this offense out there to week 1 to start the season. I just don't think Brian Dable sadly survives this. And Ben, you're gonna
Yeah.
like where I'm going with this. I think Bill Belichick, there's a good chance he's going to go back to the Giants as head coach because if Brian
Yep.
Dable does not survive this with the way that it's going, I could see it because Belichick is a giant, and the Giants ownership love to take big swings. But here, welcoming my guy James Gonzalez. It's like we've got the trio back from earlier
Yep.
today. I mean, I don't even know why we didn't do an 8-hour special because it seems like the news was just
No.
flowing left and right, and
We took a break in between. I had to be working
Thank
after
God.
a good 10, 15 minutes. James, I don't know how you handle the rest after I had to go back to work, but
don't ask him about
It was
Gardner
a
Minshew.
long, terrible, terrible time with
I,
Isaiah.
I heard
Absolutely
Gardner
terrible.
Minshew.
I heard I heard some stuff when you weren't here, so I'll have to go back to it. But
Oh, I was pissed about Gardner Minshew. I'm trying to warm up to the sensation. Well, not I won't sensation, but to the to Uncle Rico being with the Raiders. I'm trying to warm up to it, but it's hard because, like me and Isaiah talked about
All
him,
these
saying, "Hey,
mediocre
he's
but the
not
quarterbacks.
a
thing
start. He's
I
not
was thinking about the
starter."
Raiders. The Raiders love to get guys that have like either really cool hair or they just have guys that get in trouble. Is it just me or that kind of that way?
Well, damn it! I just want to win, Ben.
I feel you, man. I feel you, man.
The, the
James,
dude can
besides
be, bald. Loves his mom and dad and all that. I wouldn't mind that. I just want to win.
oh my gosh.
Oh my.
James, besides that Gardner Minshew news, what do you think about? I mean, we talked about Brian Burns. We talked about the big breaking news that broke literally a couple minutes ago. Sam Darnold to the Vikings. What's your overall thoughts on those moves?
What about
Man,
Tyrod Taylor too?
Yeah,
Tyrod Taylor went to the
yeah,
Jets.
and we were talking about that. I think on the phone with Tyrod Taylor, and how I think Isaiah was mentioning. Yeah, Ryan Tannehill's probably asking for too much, and he would have easily been a Jet if he just took whatever he wanted, or if there was interest out there. And then for Sam Darnold, it feels like he gets another opportunity, yes, but man, I don't know if he'll start. I don't know who else is there to start. Who
Nick
else is there? I
Mullins.
forget who ended. Oh,
Oh,
probably
it's your guy,
I'd probably
Nick
pick new.
Mullins.
I would I would probably pick Nick Mullins over Sam Darnold. But there's like,
He
man,
wasn't
now,
bad last year. Nick Mullins. There were some times that I'm like, oh
right.
my god, what is this guy?
So I don't know if this doesn't help the chances of Justin Jefferson, staying around. But he did mention something where he's like, "Hey, I would love to have Kirk Cousins back, but I still, had yardage and all that with 5 other quarterbacks." So I don't know if he'll stick around long term, but it's going to be an interesting year. I know the Vikings earlier today definitely went defensive with their signings. I mean, they had what 3 or 4, I think 3 signings that really came out of nowhere. And I think Daniil Hunter. I don't think he's coming back. Of course, he'll probably go to Detroit. My guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean touching on the Tyrod Taylor signing because James, you brought it up.
Oh yeah.
I was
My
shocked.
bad.
I thought that Ryan Tannehill, and I went on your show, Ben, and I predicted it. Ryan Tannehill, I think we all thought was going to be a Jet because it just made a lot of sense. Starting caliber quarterback, and it made sense because if Aaron Rodgers, for God forbid, goes down again, you have a starting caliber quarterback in there to replace him, and you're not going to miss a beat. But my 2 cents on this move is that number one, I think Ryan Tannehill wants another starting quarterback job, which is not going to happen, or he wants starting quarterback money, which is utterly ridiculous because he had him. I think he got benched for Will Levis last year and Malik Willis, and so that's not gonna happen. I don't know why he wants that. And then the second takeaway is we talk about Bailey Zappi getting the bye. Zach Wilson's for sure not coming back because the Jets have Tim Boyle, they have Tyrod Taylor, and they have Aaron Rodgers. You're not going to keep 4 quarterbacks now. So Zach Wilson, I think, will be either released or he's going to be traded in the coming days. And I mean, maybe San Fran because that spot just opened up with the backup with Darnold leaving, or maybe Zappi goes to San Francisco. Who knows? But yeah, I mean that's my thoughts on that. Ben, did you have anything you want to say about Tyrod to the Jets?
I mean, he stays in New York. I mean, he was with the Giants last year. And yeah, no, I think that, with the Jets specifically, the Jets just have awful luck with their quarterbacks, whether it's Aaron Rodgers or whether it's with Zach Wilson, obviously thinking that he was going to be the number 2 overall pick and be the blossom guy. And, Tyrod Taylor, I thought for the most part last year, playing even better than Daniel Jones. I think really, I'm not saying Daniel Jones is bad, but I think that Tyrod Taylor this can be a little more dynamic, and he showed that a little bit, I think, last year. So yeah, if Aaron Rodgers for some odd reason, I mean, I hope that Aaron Rodgers plays a full 16, 17 or whatever games. But with that offensive line, you just never know. I mean, that Jets offensive line, I thought Joe Douglas today was very quiet, I think, until like late at night for the first day. If they don't address that offensive line, none of this still matters. Of course, you looked on the first year with Aaron Rodgers, 4 plays into his season, Forty gets out, done for the year. So you have Tyrod Taylor there now as a backup. He's kind of been around the league. He's obviously been with the Bills before. He's been with the Giants, so he's kind of been floating around with the New York teams there, but he's been floating around with different teams. He's a stopgap type of guy, and I think it was really good that I'll move for the Jets. They don't have to cost the bank for him, so I think it's really good insurance, just in case if Rodgers somehow went down again.
You know what's interesting about the Jets? You bring up Tyrod. Nathaniel Hackett, when he works with mobile quarterbacks, he cannot hack it. Pun intended, by the way. He just can't. I mean, have you look at Russell Wilson? He was awful with Russell Wilson. He has never been good with a mobile quarterback. So that's what I'm really interested to see is okay, if Aaron Rodgers goes down, and Tyrod Taylor has to come in, are the Jets really gonna? I mean, they're gonna be better than what they were last year because the quarterback room is definitely upgraded. But Nathaniel Hackett can make anybody look bad. I mean, Nathaniel Hackett, sadly, Ben and James would make Tom Brady look like a scrub. That's how bad of a play caller and a play designer he really is. So, I just don't know how that move's gonna pan out. But yeah, I mean, good luck to Tyrod. But we do have a couple comments. Our guy Casey King is watching tonight. He says, "Good evening, fellas." Casey, thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate it.
Yay.
Casey says he's a Rams fan, so he says, I like the moves my Rams made or are making as they boosted their offensive line with the signing of Jonah Jackson. That was a huge move. And then they re-signed offensive lineman Kevin Dotson the other day. I like it that they got size on the old line, which they need. Yeah, credit to Sean McVay, less need in the Rams. As a Niner fan watching all the teams in the NFC West make moves, the Rams, I mean, used to you could bully the Rams because their offensive line was weak. But now they're going to give Matthew Stafford time to throw the football. And do not sleep on the Rams next year, giving San Francisco a run for our money.
I agree. I mean, the Rams, I thought last year specifically, with kind of a weak offensive line, went toe to toe with the Detroit Lions in the playoff game, and pretty much that The first half kind of their season last year was very up and down, inconsistent. But when Kyron Williams was starting to cook with them, pretty much when he came back, because they really struggled without his running ability, that offense started to go off. And I thought that, everybody thought the Rams were kind of being a rebuilding type team and, the era kind of was over. No, I think that they're still kind of treading water. They're finding a way. Stafford's still playing really well with Sean McVay over there. So I agree with Casey. Really good stuff with the Rams because you get that offensive line kind of going. Maybe get a couple of guys out with Cooper Cup, obviously Kyron, Higby. They got some guys there, got playmakers there, and
Yep.
I still think that
Puka
the Niners
Nacua.
probably the team. Yeah, Puka obviously too. But yeah, I mean that division specifically. I think the Seahawks are going to get better this offseason. I think that division could get absolutely loaded going into the next season for sure.
Yeah, James, what do you have to say on KC's Rams and their moves that they've made thus far?
You could ram it all day, you could ram it all night. They did what they needed to do. They beefed up the offensive line. I really like those moves. Thinking they're going to give time for Stafford to be even more deadly in the air and to give Kyron Williams more holes to run through. So I really, really enjoy those moves. I'm trying to remember the other. Did they do anything? It was just offensive line, right? I think they. Oh
Yeah,
no,
they
no,
got.
they got Parkinson, the tight end from
Oh, that's right.
Seattle.
That's right. From
That
yeah,
flew
that's a
under the
huge deal.
radar. They have Higby. That's not a bad tight end room, I guess. For as much as you're gonna depend on Puka Nacua and Cooper Cup, that's not too bad. So I think they already have they could do some more on defense and maybe they'll draft some more on defense like they did last year. Remember last draft, they did a hell of a job finding a couple of rookies that were implemented right away to the defense. It wasn't just Puka Nacua. They had a couple of studs that were rookies on the defensive side that really helped. So the Rams less need and all the scouts there, and then um, the coach coaching up Sean McVay. Man, they're kind of a model of how to do things because they've been through a lot when you think about it. When they moved to LA, they were getting rid of all the St. Louis players. They traded all that for Jared Goff, and then little by little they put pieces together. They tore it down to kind of bring it back up with a couple of veterans they have. They're such an interesting story and compete with the Rams to compete, excuse me, with the 49ers last year. To get in the wild card was a damn miracle. Because nobody had them first of all. But to compete with the Lions, like Ben said, man, I give them all the credit in the world.
Yeah, I know. I totally agree with you. KC also says Panthers are a horrible run organization. Totally agree. I mean, Christian McCaffrey traded, Brian Burns traded. Yes, when they were
Oh
traded
yeah,
at that
oh
time,
yeah.
their values weren't high. But guess what? Brian Burns was a great. He's a good pass rusher. He's a guy that everybody wanted. You franchise tagged him for a reason. So for you to not even get a first round pick, James, utterly ridiculous. David Tepper, please sell the
What did
damn
they
team.
give? What did they give? A third rounder, fifth rounder? Was that it?
I don't know what they got exactly. I'm trying to look it up right now, but let me see. They Brian Burns. They didn't get a first because I know one of the celebrities that is a huge Panthers fan was just completely going off on the team. I don't know if you
Oh,
saw that, James. Um, they say, hey, remember they signed
I
Robert Hunt though.
man, let me tell you about that since Casey brought it up. Dude,
Hold on,
let
but
me
James,
tell you one thing.
before you give your thoughts on that, I want to tell Casey. Panthers signed a guard to a 5-year, $100 million contract. Go ahead.
What's his name? Hunt. I'm trying to bring up the. Oh, they did get a linebacker today from the uh from the Seahawks. Damian Lewis. No, I'm sorry, offensive guard, Damian Lewis. So they definitely beefed up the offensive line, but man, they paid a lot for Hunt and now Lewis here. I'm sorry, my internet. Oh, there we go. Let's go. Did you notice the 49ers signed the Panthers?
Yep, you
So that's
turn
kind of
grass motos.
I'm like, hell is that? But Man, they they certainly made some moves. I'm my thing's loading too slow. But yeah,
By the
getting
way,
back to
the so I got the numbers on or the trade compensation for Burns. It was a second round pick and a
oh yeah,
fifth round pick that the
there it is.
Panthers got back.
There we go. Yeah, second round and a 2025 fifth rounder. Man, they could have had more the last two seasons before the deadline. Just think about that. It was just like the Angels with Shohei Ohtani, where they had two trade deadlines to get a deal done with the Dodgers or whomever wanted Shohei, and they didn't pull the trigger. And I'm not comparing Burns to Shohei. I'm just saying that in both ways they could have got something for him, and instead the Carolina Panthers do get something for him, but it could have been way more. You could have got maybe two or three picks that were, at least maybe I don't know if you would have got first rounders, but you would have at least got two twos and maybe a third. Instead, you have a second here this year. You're on mute, Isaiah.
James, you know what makes it worse is that I read of the trade deadline and I remember this vividly because I remember my Niners were trying to get Brian Burns. And there was a couple reports coming out that the Panthers rejected, I kid you not, they rejected
Right.
an offer of 2 first-round picks for Brian Burns. And you settle for a second round pick in this year's draft, a second round pick at a fifth round because the report was that they wanted 3 first-round picks. They turned down an offer for 2, and you settle for a second and a fifth. It's a disgrace what's going on in Carolina. I mean, I don't want to compare a different sport, but the Panthers remind me of our baseball teams, James. They remind me of the Angels and the A's, just horribly ran organizations. The owner needs to sell the team. We have these great players and we don't get anything back in return. I mean, the A's didn't get anything back for Olson, Chapman, or any of the other guys. The Angels, they've probably done some bad trades in the past that I can't remember. Or they didn't even trade Shohei when they had a chance to get value back when they knew that he was going to leave. It's like that. Like you're okay, you turn down 2 first-round picks because you wanted 3, and now you settle for a second and a fifth. That just makes no sense whatsoever when you knew that he was a free agent at the end of the season. Like it just pure stupidity from the Carolina Panthers. And I mean Dan Morgan, like we talked about this earlier. He doesn't have any experience in the front office. I mean, the guy retired less than 10 years ago from playing. So for him to quickly jump there into the front office, it shows his inexperience. And I mean, Bryce Young, he better be praying because that defense, they've lost tons of pieces. They're going to be awful for the next several years. And then the offensive line, yes, they rebuilt it, and that's a good thing. You're going to keep him upright, but you can't win if you're giving up 35, 40 points a game, which I think the Panthers will.
Yeah, they paid so much for those two offensive linemen, Hunt more than Lewis. And then for I know it was a different GM there before who didn't pull the trigger for Burns the last two off seasons. It just hurts when you see that because knowing what knowing what that team really needs, they need almost everything. When you think about it, they can upgrade at everything, and they did through free agency today. But what does Ben have to say here? Oh yeah, Christy. Oh, I love when she hashtag things. So it would be like hashtag sell the team capper.
Yes, Christy, we need you to do a sell the team Tepper hashtag. We need the Carolina Panthers to sell the team and be better. Ben said Panthers got nothing for Burns. I think everybody's in agreement with that. Also, before we get to that, um, back to the Giants on Burns. Giants ain't better either. They're getting like they're getting like their roommates in the Jets. Giants and Jets. Yeah, I mean they are. I mean the Giants are incomplete. The Jets. I don't. Did the Jets even do anything today? I don't even remember them besides Tyrod. I don't remember them doing something.
Let's see, nothing. Oh yeah, they did get Kinlaw from the
Oh, that's
49ers.
right.
Remember we were talking about him, but we didn't but, go to the Jets, but he did. And then I'm looking throughout the day, and I literally do not see the New York Jets anywhere. And then I'm looking into yesterday, and I don't see anything. Oh, they did re-sign their kicker, Greg Zerline, if you recall, this morning. There you are, Christy. Thank you, and I love this.
Bravo, Christy. Uh, yeah, the Giants and
Oh,
Jets. Oh, they've definitely like have had just awful off seasons thus far. Also on the Jets, Aaron Rodgers needs to retire from KC.
yeah, one more year.
Um,
He's gonna try it out one more year, and then maybe he'll get it, maybe he won't. But he's just got to stay healthy, man. But yeah, it's never a guarantee. And man, you got Tyrod Taylor. I mean, he's not a bad game manager. We saw him do that with the Jets or Giants last year, and I'm really looking forward to Rodgers coming back. Remember, we had him or we had the Jets as a wild card last year.
I
I
had
think
them
we
winning
had
the
the Bills.
division.
Oh, you did. Right.
All right, before we get to any more comments, James, I do want to run through some of the moves that we did miss from earlier today. That after we went off the air. Just quickly give me your thoughts on this, and then I'll do it as well.
Oh,
So we did Darno. We talked about
well,
it. Darno to the Vikings. Um, yeah, go ahead.
the the
Breaking news.
Jets did no. The Jets did sign John Simpson, the former Raven, an offensive lineman, to a 2-year, $18 million deal. But that was the only other Jet. There was three of them.
All right. So give me your quick thoughts on some of these big moves. The Bengals cutting Joe Mixon, for me, not a big surprise because Zach Moss is there now, and I feel like they've been wanting to get rid of him because of his off the field issues. I remember he was involved in some incident where he thought a kid was shooting a BB gun at his house, and then he ended up. I think so. There was an incident where like there was guns involved, and it was his house, and it was like a dispute. But he's been involved in so many off the field issues. Plus, after his injury, he just hasn't been the same. So I no brainer for the Bengals to move off of Mixon. Zach Moss, is he Joe Mixon? No, but he won't have the off the field issues as Mixon.
Imagine Joe Mixon saying, screw you, I'm going to the Ravens and stick it to them. It could happen. It's a possibility. If he takes less, I could see that happening. But you're right on his injury. Even the Cowboys, Vikings, or Raiders might be in the mix. But I mean, he did really good with the Bengals until that injury, until the off the field stuff. It was a he'll be remembered as one of those starters up for the Bengals to get them going.
All right, the Commanders beefed up their offensive line by signing Chiefs offensive lineman Nick Allegretti, who filled in for the injured Joe Thuney. 3-year deal worth $16 million, including $9 million in guaranteed money. For me, it's you know what, it's a great deal because they needed to fix their offensive line. The Commanders need a lot of help, so he definitely he's a young guy. He definitely performed very well in the Super Bowl. And he's going to be a leader of that offensive line, and he's definitely the first step in fixing that offensive line. So I have no problem with this deal.
Yeah, they really needed some experience, some winning championship pedigree, and they got that with Nick Allegretti. 3 years, 16 million. That's not too bad. Remember today, we saw a plethora of guys on the offensive line get paid and paid and paid some more. So actually, the Commanders, with all that cap space, they haven't been able to do much. All the guys I predicted, Ben has predicted with Gabe Davis going there. Well, that hasn't happened. So it's a good, solid move, and it doesn't cost you anything. Now you got to figure out who the quarterbacks are going to be, and then who the receivers are going to be along with that, so he can protect and do his job.
Speaking of the Commanders, they also signed kicker Brandon McManus, who the Jaguars were going to get rid of anyways because they thought they had Will Lutz. Who, if you guys missed it, this was very late when we were signing off. Will Lutz actually changed his mind, and he ended up back in Denver. So the Jaguars are now without a kicker. I think for me, my thoughts on it, it's 1 year deal, $3.6 million. I mean, the Commanders are probably gonna be kicking a lot of field goals next season because their offense is not gonna be that good. He's a very reliable kicker. I think he's broken the record a couple of times for longest field goals in the NFL. So I mean, it's a good deal. I feel like he made 30 out of 37 field goals. He had a down year last year. Only 5 of 10 from 50 yards, so maybe he is going down. But 3 years for Brandon McManus. I'm not I'm not a I would say that I have no problem with it.
Yeah, he's going to be shaky there. There's no doubt. With the turf there, and then the division opponents they're playing. He might not be used as much. You're looking more at the punter being used unless the offense gets going. Um, yeah, he's going to be a little shaky for them. I could see him kind of struggling like he did with the Jags.
The Jets beefed up their defensive line. They've added Javon Kinlaw on a 1 year deal. James, my thoughts on it as a Niners fan, I am jumping for joy and I'm saying hallelujah because thank goodness Javon Kinlaw was not re-signed to replace Eric Armstead. I think we talked about this earlier this morning. Javon Kinlaw, he is a beast of a human being, but guess what? He would let rats or ants be able to block him. I mean, the guy cannot get off a block to save his life. That's how pathetic he is. And when he finally can get off a block, he always gets injured. And he's like Cleveland Farrell with the Raiders. He wraps up a quarterback, and then somehow, some way, the quarterback gets out of his reach, despite him having a long arm. It just makes no sense how this guy's a beast of a human being. He cannot get after the quarterback. I'm glad the Niners didn't bring him back. I mean, he had a good year last year, but it was because he was in a contract year. The Jets, I think that you get more defensive line depth, which is good. But I mean, he's a rotational player, and for us to have drafted him number 16, that was definitely a waste of a pick. When we had Jerry Jeudy, you had Henry. I mean, Jerry Jeudy was available. You had CeeDee Lamb available at that time in the draft. That was a bust by Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. So as a Niners fan, I'm glad he's gone. I think that maybe a guy like DJ Jones will help out if he gets cut by Denver, or someone like that. But Javon Kinlaw to the Jets. What say you, James?
It's amazing how long it took for the Jets and Joe Douglas to get going on things. I feel like he was behind on everything. It seems like he had so much talent, but he can never stay healthy. Sadly, it's almost like you know a no risk high reward move for the Jets. It feels like.
All right, and then we have this move that you actually called, James, and you were wanting this move, and that is a comment that Ben brings up. One underrated signing, Leonard Williams, back to Seattle to help Mike McDonald's defense. James, you called this, by the way. You wanted this to happen. Now that it's happened? What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I've always liked him, and I always wanted him somehow to come to the Raiders, but he found a spot there in Seattle where he's really needed. They didn't hold back and or not letting him go. I mean, so it was a great move. They need more though. It feels like on defense, they really do. And I I don't know what they're gonna do. I mean, they haven't done much, but you could tell when he got there last year that he fit in very well. It's a 3 year, $64.5 million deal. That's the only issue about it, where it's like, okay, he better perform well. But it's something that Seattle, they lost a few guys today. You know, a tight end and a linebacker, but at least they keep the men up front.
Yeah, I mean, for me, as I hate the Seahawks, but you know what? They needed him because he was their good of their defense. And their defense was not very good, so you got to keep him. You traded a lot for him from the Jets, uh, or from the Giants. I think at the trade deadline, so you had to keep him. He's a very good interior lineman. He gets a lot of push, can get after the quarterback, can stop the run. So he's a good first step in rebuilding Mike McDonald's defense. James, how about let's see, we have how about this? The Niners signed Yetur Gross Matos, the defensive end from the Carolina Panthers. Um, James, my thoughts on it is, you know what? I don't know much about him. All I know is I know of him because I was watching a video a couple of years ago when Matt Rule was still the head coach of the Panthers. It was his first year, and they were showing the war room of the Panthers draft in the second round, and Matt Rule and the GM kept talking about Gross Matos and how much they wanted him and how he was so great. And that's all I know about Yetur Gross Matos. But from what I'm reading, he's a very good run defender, which he might be that Armstead replacement. He can play inside and play outside, so you can go back and forth between rushing the passer and stopping the run. And he's kind of like a Cleveland Farrell in the way where that the team that he was on before didn't really utilize him properly. So maybe he's just coming to San Francisco to new change of scenery, get maximized. I mean, that's my thoughts on it, but for the Panthers, it's a brutal loss because you need all the defenders, the valuable, solid defenders you can get. Because right now you don't have anybody on defense that's really any solid. So, good move by the Niners. Hopefully, they get someone else also to help replace Armstead. Maybe bring back DJ Jones. Who knows? But I do like this as a depth signing by the Niners.
It's funny because with the 49ers right now, it just seems like they're signing like defensive tackles, defensive ends, but they're not addressing maybe getting another cornerback. And that's the feeling with the Niner fans, I think, right now. And then also, you have Carolina Panther fans wondering, well, if we used him right, he could have been real special for us. But that never happened in that system. So we'll see if he has a breakout season with a winning team. I think you play better, you feel better, you feel
Yep.
better coming to work, and that might happen for this man right here.
All right, and then the last move we'll get into for our like quick take segment is the Bucks are bringing back running back Chase Edmonds. He had an unstable stretch after he departed Arizona. The Bucks brought him in, and it seemed like it worked out as a solid contributor behind their starter Rashad White. He gained 257 yards from scrimmage, 63 touches last year. He did have an injury, but he came back and he was actually pretty good. He had 35 playoff snaps, 14 carries, 14 carries. Edmonds is a fast, speedy change of pace guy. And I think it will go well with Rashard White. So, I mean, and with this new offense of Liam Cohen, where I feel like Liam Cohen is going to want to throw the ball to the backs out of the backfield, having watched his offense in Kentucky, I think that it is a good fit for the Buccaneers to bring him back. I don't know about White though because Liam Cohen does not really run a lot of power run. He likes to do more of a stretch run, throw the ball to the guys out of the backfield, so that might impact him, and you might see more carries from Edmonds next season.
What's great is that they pay as much, and then he already knows the system there. So I think that's a really great move. Knowing that he's already been there and he's a veteran in a way with the running back, so you feel good having him. I was wondering what the Tampa Bay Bucks are gonna do because remember they went out and paid Mike Evans. They went out and paid Baker Mayfield. What happened with Antoine Winfield Jr.? Was he tagged?
Yeah, he was tagged. And then today, actually, Carlton Davis got traded to the Detroit Lions. So they did
Right.
shake up their secondary.
Yeah, they were just trying to keep whoever they could, knowing that they couldn't keep everybody. And remember, they cut a lot of veteran players, when which they had to though. So, this was a good move, at least keeping Edmonds around.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's a low cost deal, so it's not you don't pay high money for him. Back to the comments section as we wait for more moves. So James, Casey has a comment for you about the Raiders. He says the Raiders will
Uh-oh.
be drafting a quarterback for the future. Um, for Casey, before I give it to James, it all depends because there is heavy rumors that they are in talks with the Bears to get Justin Fields. So if that comes about, then you will have Justin Fields. You have Justin Fields, Gardner Minshew, who I don't know if James is still mad about, but he was earlier today. And
Again, I'm
Aiden
trying to get
O'Connell.
over that. I'm trying to think it's gonna work out, but I'm like, I don't want either guy, to be honest.
So let me ask you, James, before you comment on this comment from KC. You want a Justin Fields Raiders jersey for Christmas, or you want Gardner Minshew?
Either. Um, look,
Bailey Zappi?
I again, no, sorry. I mean, nothing against Ben, but no Patriot. We already been through that with McDaniels and everybody else. Although Jacoby Myers, balled out, but look, I don't I don't trust Justin Fields. I know he would go at Getsy, but when he was there with Chicago, they didn't do so well. Uh, and then yeah, with Minshew, you're getting a firecracker quarterback. And what I mean by that is that hey, he's gonna either win you a game or he's gonna lose you a game. He can throw 4 interceptions or he can throw 4 touchdowns. I don't need that in my life right now. I need a franchise quarterback, and the Raiders are not in position to get one. This is torture.
Yeah, I mean the Raiders. You just look at that quarterback group. Fields cannot throw. Minshew, he'll have 2 good games and then just 2 awful games that you're just like, why is he not? Why is he even playing football? He sucks that bad. And then you have Aiden O'Connell, who is average, but he's more of like a backup quarterback than he is a starter. So I mean, James, for your sake, I hope the Raiders do drop the quarterback, and I don't want you to. I don't want to see you miserable as hell. Like, I
But
mean,
who's
you're
left though? Who's left at number 13? There's no way, there'll be Michael Penix Jr., but then everybody's going to say, well, you're really reaching because he's a second
McCarthy,
round guy, right?
Bo Nix.
McCarthy has moved up. No, McCarthy has moved up. Remember? He's number
That's right.
6.
That's
According to
right.
Daniel Jeremiah, he's slated at number 6 to go to the New York Giants. So
Oof.
that's who I was thinking about before the combine. But guess what? He balled out at the
Well, out.
combine. And
Yep.
now you mentioned Bo Nix. That could be someone because look, if the Vikings, if they're not going to go for a quarterback, but they might end up with Bo Nix or JJ McCarthy. But after that, it's like maybe Bo Nix will be there, maybe not. You got to hope that some of those teams and before the Raiders go offensive line or receiver. You got to hope for that or somehow move up. I'm hoping they move up somehow so they can get one of the 4 good ones right away.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, I don't know about Bo Nix because he's very like Bo Nix is a decent quarterback, but he's
And
got
he's
like
old too. Remember,
he is
he's
old. Yeah.
older.
He's a short guy that runs around, loves to run around, throw, but he's also a firecracker. He's gonna have one game, couple games where you're like, wow, this guy's a franchise quarterback. And he's gonna have one of those games where you're just like, dude, he comes in and throws 5 picks, and you're just like, oh crap, man.
Yeah,
So,
I don't
uh,
need any more of that.
well, that's because you have Gardner Minshew already, 2 years, 25 mil.
Oh my
Um,
god.
oh god. Um, let's see. We have Chris, or yeah, Ben has a comment for us. He says, "Where y'all think T Higgins goes, and does he go to Cincy despite his trade request?" I got one place for you, and I don't know if James is going to agree with me. T. Higgins is going to go to the New York Jets. You know why? Because Aaron Rodgers wants him. That's why. And Aaron Rodgers, whenever he wants someone, he always gets someone. And they've been looking for a number one opposite of Garrett Wilson the entire freaking season and off season. And they're going to do everything they can to go get him. And he's not in your division, so they're not going to. He's not in your division, so you're not going to trade him to the Steelers or Ravens or Browns. You're not
Right.
trading to Kansas City, your biggest rival. The Jets just make a lot of sense because even with T. Higgins, are the Jets like Super Bowl contenders? In my eyes, they are. But I mean, the Bengals, I don't know if they
Really?
think that. So, I mean, with T. Higgins and Garrett Wilson, I mean that's a pretty good offense with Aaron Rodgers. It
Yeah,
just
that's
depends
true.
on Rodgers' health. But yeah, if I'm the Jets, I'm like, screw it. I'm trading a first round pick for T. Higgins because T. Higgins, T. Higgins is a proven receiver. You know what you're going to get from him. You don't know what you're going to get from the rookie.
Yep.
So that's why I would do it. James, where do you think T. Higgins goes? Does he go back to Cincy or he going somewhere else?
Man, I like that for the Jets because they don't really have a number one, and maybe Rodgers doesn't need a number one quarterback. He could just have, or sorry, receiver. So maybe he'll just have, a good one. Boy, if the Patriots were serious and had another quarterback, I would say them, but I won't say him. Washington could be a spot. Depending on who they draft, maybe T. Higgins goes there for the money. That could be a spot. Man. Other from that, I can't really think of another one, but yeah, I'm gonna say the two I had. Maybe the Lions. I kept hearing that today. Depending on what they can give. I heard Detroit, but I don't know how. I don't know about that, but imagine if that happens for Detroit. So I think it's those three for Higgins. If he's serious about winning, if he's serious about money, I think he could do. I think he can go to those three places. Zaya, you may be on mute. I don't know. Let's see if he's faster. Oh, first me, I'm giving up all
You
my
guys,
angel stuff. Oh, yeah, I hear you now. There you go.
okay,
Is
perfect,
there a
perfect.
long
Yeah.
comment here?
What's that?
Dang. Oh yeah, with T. Higgins. Yeah.
Yeah, I was hearing what you said about New England.
Oh, okay.
New England
Did
has
you
the
need me
third.
to take over?
No. I
Okay.
mean, yeah, no. I just came back because I had to step out for a bit. But
Right.
the Patriots are an interesting team because they do need a number one receiver. The only thing is their pick is they've got what the 30. They've got the 35th pick. Would you trade the 35th pick, which is the third pick of the second round? Would you do that for T. Higgins?
Actually, would yeah,
You
I would do
would.
that. Yeah, because you're getting an established receiver. You know he wants to show out because of the way that Cincinnati treated him. The thing is, you'd have to pay him. So
And they
that'd be
have
a
the
big
money.
thing. They have what?
They have the money to spend.
Yeah. And Juju Smith-Schuster isn't getting the job done. So
No.
you have to do something. You have to get someone better in there, and then also you have to figure out who the hell the quarterback is. Earlier in the show, but yeah, I'm gonna say yeah, I would do that if you're New England and if you're serious about the first year of Gerard Mayo, if you're serious about making an impact and doing something well, then damn it, you make that deal if you're serious about winning and come out of the gate right in his career.
The problem with what you're saying though is that what the Patriots have shown. I know it's only day one, right? You don't want to overreact to day one, But the only thing what they want is that the Patriots have all this money. I thought that they were gonna be like the Jags, James. Now they were gonna be like, you get this, you get you get this much million, you get the bag, you get you know that famous Oprah meme, right? Like you get the money, you get this, you get this, you get this. Like I don't know, we just signed like 6 players, 6 impact players, and be one of the more aggressive teams of this offseason, but they didn't spend anything today except for Antonio Gibson and Jacoby Brissett. Like they still have over $90 million in salary cap space. The Patriots sadly might be committing to a rebuild where they're just going to just build through the draft, save their money until they really have to maybe spend like year 2 or 3 of this regime. But if I'm the Patriots, I would, because you do need a number one receiver. But just from how they've operated, it doesn't seem like it's likely, because New England seems like, okay, we're content with the 6 Super Bowls. We're just going to rebuild. Doesn't matter Robert Kraft. He might go bye-bye in the next, doesn't matter. He's getting up there in age. We are going to rebuild this thing. We're going to, do it the right way. And then we're going to see how it goes. But it looks like it's going like that for New England.
Yeah, I mean, I just if
I
you're
was very
serious about
disappointed in
winning
them
Super
today.
Bowl, yeah, they might be some of the losers, and then Washington as well. I think
Yep.
before the moves they made, Washington was a loser. The Cowboys are a loser. The Houston Texans, in a way, are
The
losers
Panthers.
just based on who they had for money. And then the Texans spent too much. I mean, I'm sorry, the Panthers spent too much on players that weren't worth that much. So yeah, there's some definite losers there, and I think we mentioned them all.
All right, Casey says T. Higgins is going to go Higgins route and end up getting traded as to where, not sure, but maybe he goes to the Patriots like we've been talking about. Yeah, I mean, Patriots make sense. They got a lot of money. They've got the 35th pick in the upcoming draft, and you get a proven number one. I mean, I could see it, especially if you want to make, if you don't want to repeat the mistake that you made with Mac Jones, which is you surrounded him with the worst weapons and the worst coordinator ever. So maybe they want to rectify it by getting a guy like a T. Higgins, beef up the offensive line, get a running back that you can rely on, so Jaden Daniels or Drake May, they don't have to do too much. All right, and then
What's great about a running back, you could get it in the draft late. You don't have to get it right away.
don't they still have Ramondre Stevenson too, or is he a free agent?
Right. But you need 2 or 3 running backs.
Right. No, yeah, I agree with you. Let's see. The Giants and Jets do share MetLife Stadium. From Christie, yeah, that's why that stadium stinks. Because there's strong
There's a
odor
move.
of just crappy football over there. Um, James, you have any comment you want to add to this Christie comment?
No, they just share the misery of that place and the turf there, and I think that's why nobody really wants to go there. They could see that both franchises. Just think about if the Jets didn't have Aaron Rodgers, man, that would be no one would be with the Jets right now.
All right, Isaiah, what's your reaction on releasing defensive tackle Eric Armstead? I was shocked. I thought that, that he had a good year last year and that they were going to keep him, but it looks like that they want to get younger, and it looks like that they just want to get cheaper at that position. Because they're gonna have a lot. They're gonna be in salary cap hell in 2025. I think me and James talked about this earlier today. That if the Niners don't win the Super Bowl next season, they're done, because you look at that salary cap for the season after next season. Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Debo, like Brandon Ayuk, they're all gonna be making big money. Nick Bosa's massive money kicks in after next season. I mean, you have so many guys that are gonna be making tons of money, that like the biggest of the deals are going to be kicking in 2025. So this is the year to win it. So you have to go young. I think they're trying to sacrifice some of their star players to not have a big or having a tough road in that salary cap hell. But remember, Brock Purdy is eligible for a contract extension in 2025. Now, do you extend him next year? Who knows? Or after next year? Who knows? Do you give him that $50 million deal right away? For me, James, and I'm just being fair because I know probably will know I'm going to be like, oh yeah, Brock Purdy deserves 50 to 60 million. He does because he's a great quarterback. He's a guy that can improvise. He does a lot of great things well. But you have to win a Super Bowl. Like, I would not give it to him right now until you win a Super Bowl. I can't do it. I just cannot give him that $50 million extension. Um, you know, if he doesn't win it next year, you have to win it next year because you're going to still have a stacked team.
That's gonna be tough. I mean, I'm not sure if he's worth 50 million right now. I don't think he. Man, I would wait. You know, of course, until 25 to get the extension done. But man, I would try to lowball him as much as possible. He's lucky to be where he is. Let's just say that. And maybe he struggles next year. Then just have to wait and see. I think before you can really decide to pay him.
Casey also says, like I've said before, the Jets need to move back to their old home where Shea Stadium was and build it next to Citi Field. They've been cursed since they left Shea Stadium. James, since we're talking about stadiums, right? A stadium next to Citi Field would not be bad because I've been to Citi Field and do have a large like parking lot area next to that stadium. Obviously, the traffic will be
Oh,
awful, but remember, in New York, there is a subway station that is right next to Citi Field. You get off and Citi Field's right there. So, I mean, that's not a bad idea. Plus, you also have the tennis stadium right next to Citi Field as well. So, if the Jets don't want to share a stadium with the Giants, I mean, you could build a glamorous new stadium right there where you have the Jets, the Mets, and the stadium. But here's the thing, though. Imagine January, right? Or imagine like in October when you have baseball. I don't know if the Mets are going to be playing October baseball a lot. Who knows?
never,
What's that?
never again. The Mets are never playing October baseball again.
Yeah, the Mets are never playing October baseball for a while after they traded Scherzer and DeGrom. But yeah, they imagine Mets in the playoffs, Jets home game, and then the U.S. Open all on the same day.
They'll work around it. They're smart enough to do it. I mean, they did it all the time when the Mets and the Giants played and all that before in '86. But look, I think they're gonna make that land over there, all that land that the Mets or the area around City Field, they're gonna make it into some infrastructure already. So
Mm.
I think I think what they're trying to do is get the Jet Stadium on some type of borough. I don't know if it's Brooklyn or if it's um Manhattan or Queens, but they've been trying for a while to get that done because I think they're sick of sharing with the Giants. It's almost like the Clippers there, the Jets, where they're sick of sharing, and it took the right person to get it done. And it won't be under this ownership with Woody Johnson, I don't think, that gets it done. I think he just feels just uh okay with where he is now. Uh, so yeah, I don't think they're going anywhere anytime soon. Sadly,
Let me ask you, who sells the team first, Artie Marino or Woody? That's a tough one.
I think it depends on that one guy Gary V. He's that motivational speaker. He went around like selling like eBay or whatever stuff, and he's made a lot of money. He's a big Jet fan, and he feels so sick for them. If he ever puts enough money together, he's part of a group. I think he could get it done. And Woody Johnson, remember, is getting older. Artem
Yep.
Moreno is getting older, but uh, the good thing about Artie is that um, the family doesn't want anything to do with the team. So that's promising. But Artie, he's still going strong. He's not in the media. It's rare that he talks. So it's almost like a one off, but I think there's more pressure on Woody to sell just because they're in the New York area.
I mean, yeah, I mean, New York media is always ragging on Woody. So, I mean, if I had to pick one, that's tough. I just don't see Artie selling because I feel like Artie, he's just so spiteful. He's like, yeah, he's like, I don't want to compare him to Dan Schneider because he doesn't do a lot of that off the field stuff that Dan Schneider
You
did.
can if you
But
want.
he's, what's that?
You can if you want. It makes it sound worse.
I mean, but he doesn't do that. But he also is like Dan Schneider, where he's like whatever the public says. If you're criticizing him, he's just like he does the opposite. So the public wanted him to sell. He teased the sale, and then guess what? He ended up not selling, and he's not going to sell. So um, I feel like it's Woody just because like you're right. Woody's older, and plus if I don't want to go politics here, but if someone we know wins the presidency, remember Woody Johnson left for like 4 years to be Donald Trump's ambassador to England, so he could do it again if he wins the White House.
Well, he didn't miss anything. Just football was bad in that time.
Well,
You
and
know,
here's the
and
thing though, his brother hired Adam Gase. His brother hired Robert Sala. His brother was there. His brother was the one that orchestrated the Zach Wilson acquisition. So, I mean, his brother's a clown as well too.
I tell you what, Robert Sala, man, that dude is on the hot seat, and it's not really his fault. But then the way that he, vouched for Zach Wilson, didn't vouch for him, it was so damn confusing last year. Um, I don't know what's gonna. I don't see how Salah finishes maybe the season with the Jets if they're not in playoff contention. I really don't.
You know, who is the first head coach to be let go next year? Robert Sala or Brian Dable? That's a tough one because Salah's gonna have a lot of pressure. He has to make the playoffs next season. Probably even get a playoff win. Like not even make the playoffs. If you go to make the playoffs and you lose like 30-7, he's gonna get fired. And then Brian Dable, it's like he's got a sad, pathetic state of a team in the New York Giants, and I just don't think the Giants are going to do anything anymore because, like, okay, you can go the draft route, but these rookies really going to, shine right away like they have to? You missed the playoffs last year. You were awful. You don't have a quarterback. And Bill Belichick is lurking out there. I think for both of these New York teams, it's going to go. It's going to go sideways quick, and I really think that if I had to pick one right now, I think it's Dable, James. I think Dable gets fired mid-season. I just don't think that. I think the Giants are going to start off like the Patriots did this past season. I think they're going to start off 1-6, and then he's going to be fired mid-season because he just alienates people with his coaching attitude, his stubbornness. He's trying to be Belichick 2.0, and he's a guy that offense is just god awful. And imagine if you're a Giants fan, you're gonna have to watch games next season where if you score 10 points, that might be cause for celebration.
Okay, so Sean McDermott, Matt Eberflus, Zach Taylor, even Kevin Stefanski, Mark, um, Mike McCarthy. Let's see what else. Shanahan. Oh, ooh. Let me get through this real quick. Doug Peterson. Uh, even Kevin O'Connell, I think would be Nick Sirianni. Um, I don't think Mike Tomlin will ever get fired. He would have to quit, and then maybe Todd Bowles. But I really think was it Robert Sala? I think would get fired first, or Eberflus, depending on how things go. If Caleb Williams, let's say he gets drafted there, and he already has issues with his coach, they're gonna go with the coach to be fired, not the player bench or whatever. What do you think about Kyle Shanahan? What do you really think about this?
I mean, I don't think he should get fired. I just think that that's his weakness is that he can't win the big games. But if he got fired, like people would fire their head coaches to hire Kyle Shanahan. Because he's a young coach, very innovative. He's the most innovative coach in the NFL. So I don't think he should fire him. Like Andy Reid, a lot of people are like, "Oh, Andy Reid got fired because he couldn't win a Super Bowl." No, Andy Reid in his final 2 years in the with the Eagles, he was awful. The team went like the team went. I think the first year they went like 5-11, and then the second year they went like 4-12. So he got fired because he couldn't win anymore. Kyle Shanahan's not going to get fired for not winning a Super Bowl. I just don't believe if you make the Super Bowl, okay, that's good enough. Like that's great. But you're not going to fire a coach for not winning the Super Bowl. I feel like that'd just be ludicrous. So I don't think he'll be on the hot seat next year. If he goes like, let's say he goes 2-14 or 2-15, then yeah, probably. But at right now, he just went to Super Bowl. He went to 3 straight NFC championships. Like he's got a very, 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 very long leash in Santa Clara.
That's true.
And then we have, let's see, before we go to Ben's last comment, I think there was one more for us. I feel like there was, let's see, um, right here, right here. So Ben wanted to know my thoughts on Leonard Floyd to San Francisco. And James, you can feel free to comment on that. I think we talked about this right before we ended the show. I love this move, James, because we finally have a premier edge rusher opposite of Nick Bosa to help Bosa not get double teamed and triple teamed and take all the attention off Bosa. I love that move by the Niners. You get him at like $10 million per season, which is a steal. Leonard Floyd has never had a season in his career with less than 7 sacks, so he's a sack machine. And I think with Bosa on one side, with Floyd on the other side, you got a two-headed monster there, and then you get Javon Hargraves in the middle, Uter Gross-Motos in the middle, or you can bring back Chase Young, have him in the middle with those guys. I think this defensive line got better than it was last year, and it was already a damn good defensive line because Drake Jackson was nothing, sadly. Chase Young would take plays off. He wasn't really anything with the Niners. That's why the Niners could not get pass rush home in those pivotal playoff games against the Packers and the Detroit Lions. But now you got Leonard Floyd, who's a younger, more agile, more athletic pass rusher. You get Nick Bosa on the other end. I want them to bring back Chase Young, James. I really do. I thought about it today, and I'm like, they should bring back Chase Young because Chase Young's market now, I think, is looking at like a 1-year, $7-8 million deal, and for me, that's a pretty good price for him. And you want to definitely stack as much good pass rushers as you can. So I like the move, Ben, to answer your question. I think that Leonard Floyd is going to be a monster with the Niners, and he's going to finally provide that guy opposite of Bosa that can get like 10 to 15 sacks in a season and be a very dangerous threat. So love the move, Leonard Floyd to San Francisco.
Yeah,
James,
man, it seems like the Richards getting rich there. It feels like with San Francisco again. It begs the question: why are they getting all these damn pass rushers? And then for the Bills, it's very, very alarming that they couldn't keep him. Remember how they lost all their secondary, and now they lose another linebacker here. Um, that really hurts the Bills, I think, in a way.
do they still have Von Miller, or am I tripping?
Yeah, they have Von Miller, but the thing is, he actually did the team a solid by taking an actual pay cut, in which he didn't have to do. He can make it on incentives and how the team does, but I'm afraid he's going to lose that money. That's playoff money he's talking about, or it's individual incentives. But I'm worried that I think he took $5 million off his contract. So it's very difficult to say how they're going to do with him. But he's still there, and he's pretty much like the only one when you think about it. He's still there from all the signings they had.
Well, they also re-signed AJ Epinesa today, but he hasn't really done much in the NFL.
True. They're literally bargain hunting, it seems like, for defensive players, or they have a good pulse on their draft picks. That's the only thing I could think of is like, hey, they're really gonna do their work with the draft probably.
And also, speaking of Buffalo, here's a very underrated loss. They lost Mitch Morse in free agency, their center.
Yeah.
That's huge because who's gonna you have now you're gonna have a new guy snapping the ball to Josh Allen and protecting him. That's big. That's a big loss right there for
Hmm.
Buffalo. So I'll be interested to see how they replace him.
Yeah, whenever you lose your center, the guy that is closest to the quarterback all the time, that's really gonna hurt them, I think, in a way. And I think they also released the offensive lineman who went elsewhere, and that's gonna hurt them as well.
Was it Lloyd Cushenberry that they replaced or that they released?
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was too. Oh man, that's not good. Um, but yeah, I mean, wow. Yeah, the Bills are definitely in turmoil. And then the last comment that we do have is from our guy Ben Cruz right here. Ben is asking us, guys, as we shift gears and turn our attention to what happens on Tuesday. Um, James, let me ask you before we get into Ben's question. Let's talk about our teams, right? Our teams. Your Raiders made a lot of moves today. My Niners got Leonard Floyd, as well as Uter Gross models, really helping the defensive line. So day one, check those boxes. Now day two in NBA free agency, or NFL free agency. My bad. What do you want your team to accomplish now in day number two? For me, I'll start first on this. I want offensive line. It's got to be offensive line, offensive line, offensive line, and I don't know who are some of those. I know Laken Tomlinson was contacted by the Niners. Brian Allen, the former Rams center, was contacted by the Niners. The Niners have got to beef up their offensive line because that was one of our biggest issues last year. If our offensive line could hold up and Brock Purdy could have time to throw the football, we won the Super Bowl with if our offensive line could have blocked. And Chris Jones is not, running directly at Brock Purdy. So offensive line's got to be key. If we don't come out of this free agency these 3 days with two offensive linemen, I will be extremely upset because this is what they do. They always focus their attention on the defensive line. And then what hurts us in the playoffs is our offensive line's inability to block. And that's always happened. It's happened the last 4 years for the 49ers. So offensive line's got to be a major priority for the Niners. Other major priority, James, and I think I said this on a local radio show here in the Bay Area today, and that is backup quarterback. I really want to see the 49ers. If I'm the Niners right now, I'm targeting either Zach Wilson from the New York Jets because you're going to get him. Either he's going to get cut or you're going to get him for a late 7th-round pick. I would do it because you need someone to replace Sam Darnold now that he's officially in Minnesota. I would try to trade for Zach Wilson because I think Zach Wilson has very, great athletic abilities. And then James, you probably would not.
Mhm.
You probably will call me delusional for saying this. I would trade for Bailey Zappi, and here's why. Because Bailey Zappi showed in his short time starting for the Patriots that he is a borderline starting caliber quarterback. And he showed some good stuff there that, hey, if Brock Purdy, God forbid, went down with an injury, our season would not be over because we could hand the reins to Bailey Zappi and say, hey, don't turn the football over, just play within the system, and Bailey Zappi could win you football games and lead you, until Brock Purdy came back. So I want Bailey Zappi. I think Bailey Zappi would be good. He fits the Shanahan style quarterback pocket passer. He can move around a little bit with his legs. And also, New England's not gonna want him anymore. They're gonna get him. They're gonna give him away for a box of cookies. So you're gonna be able to get him for maybe like a 7th-round pick, or even get him via free agency. You need a backup quarterback because the Niners have gotten a lot of quarterbacks hurt in their recent history. Bailey Zappi is a guy that I will absolutely positively get if I'm John Lynch. And I hope John Lynch is working the phone right now with Elliott Wolf and trying to get Bailey Zappi because he's not going to be a Patriot for much longer. go get him. It just makes a lot of sense for it to happen. So for me, offensive line, backup quarterback is the biggest issues I want the Niners to address as we move towards day 2. How about you, James? What are some positions you want the Raiders to address in day 2 of free agency?
Uh, man, I don't, I don't, uh, I don't know what the rest of the running backs are there, but uh, maybe they go after running backs. Maybe one running back, I should say. A backup tight end, because two of them are gone or are free agents now. Uh, let's see. They could get some more linebacker help like I mentioned before. I think that would really help. But man, I would do whatever it took not to get Justin Fields. Let's just say that. But knowing the
Is
Raiders, because it was crazy how today they went from, you know, it was a fun time to, oh no, we have Gardner Minshew and Josh Jacobs is gone. And for that price that the Packers gave, I'm just, I'm really pissed at that because it shows you the Raiders could have kept Josh Jacobs, but they decided not to, and kind of kind of messed things up. So yeah, I'm looking at the running backs here. Thank you, Aaron Jones. I wouldn't take him. Mixon, I would. Henry, I would. Elliott, I wouldn't. So there's a couple of guys there. Mixon, I would worry about him in Las Vegas, but Henry, I wouldn't have a problem with. AJ Dillon would get injured. I think he's already banged up, and he has questions about himself. So nah, I would go either Henry or Mixon. Uh, and please not Justin Fields. You mentioned Tyreek Cohen from the Bears. Yeah, maybe that'll work, but now we're starting to turn into the Chicago Bears of the West. You know how it was New England, New England Patriots West. Now we're turning into the damn Chicago Bears West, and I really don't want to see that because we're going after a failed model that is the Chicago Bears after leaving a failed model that was the rest of the New England Patriots, who were there after Brady. So I don't want to deal with this crap. I want day 2 to be almost non-existent in a way for the Raiders and just let other people make mistakes. I think that's what I want.
no news is always good news, especially in the NFL.
Hell
So
yeah.
yeah, right. Like hopefully the Raiders, no news. You just breeze through the day. Don't have to come on a show and talk about the crap that your team did. Um, But so those are like what our team reports as to what we want our team to do in day 2 of free agency. Now, as far as Ben's question is concerned, what are some of the players that you guys think will sign today? I'll go first on this. Chase Young, maybe. I could see it because he's that second tier of defensive linemen, and defensive linemen have been, going fast off the board. Tyron Smith, that's another guy. Offensive lineman, O lineman's been really going fast. And I think we're going to see some trades. Like I could see James like a Zach Wilson
Yeah.
trade. I think we'll see that, especially now that the Jets have clarity on quarterback. Justin Fields, I don't know. It just seems like there's so less options for him now, as he's about to depart the Bears. So who knows if the Bears will even be able to trade him. And then I think more running backs. I think Derrick Henry is going to sign. I feel like a guy like AJ Dillon, Joe Mixon, Aaron Jones are probably going to sign. So I would go with those guys. And I think, you know what? I'm going to surprise you guys all. I think, James, call me crazy, but I think we see a Justin Jefferson trade tomorrow. Because who was expecting Brian Burns to get traded today? Like
Whoa.
nobody was expecting it. And I don't think Justin Jefferson is happy with with Sam Darnold. I just don't. I don't think that, to go from Kirk Cousins to a guy that just can't throw, like, he's scared to throw the ball deep because he doesn't want to turn the football over, and you're Justin Jefferson, you're like, hell no, I don't want to play with that guy. So I think we see a Justin Jefferson trade tomorrow. I think we're gonna get the bomb like early in the morning. The Vikings have traded Justin Jefferson to some team, and then yeah, it's gonna be a massive bombshell. We're gonna probably have to come back at around freaking like 11 a.m. like we did today and talk about that crap.
Okay, I'm gonna go. Justin Simmons gets signed. I don't know by whom. Patrick Queen just seems like somebody who won't go past 2 days. Kendall Fuller, I think will as well. Uh, I'm gonna wait on Tyron Smith. I think he's too banged up to get picked up right away. Daniil Hunter, I think eventually. I don't know if the Lions have enough money, but I could see that happening. Derrick Henry, I don't. I think maybe it's a late second day or third day. Remember, these people have until Wednesday, so I'm gonna just go with those from the remaining free agents. Honestly, I don't think it's gonna be a lot of movement unless there's trades tomorrow. I don't think it'll be a flurry like it was today.
Do you think we see a lot of trades tomorrow? Do we see, like, if you had
Yeah,
to guess on trades, because I think tomorrow's like the day where we have the flurry of trades. Um, what are some trades that you think we will get? Because I think Justin Jefferson is not going to be a Viking. I just think that, like, you're not giving him Sam Darnold. There's no way whatsoever that's happening. But do you think T. Higgins gets traded? Could that be a possibility tomorrow? I mean, he requested a trade today, so the Bengals haven't really said anything if he's actually available or not. Hassan Reddick's another one that I could see. Khalil Mack as well. I don't think anybody's trading for Joey Bosa, James, because he's always hurt. Um, and then some of the trade candidates, I was looking at Mark Andrews. You're not going to trade him if you're Baltimore. And then Jonathan Allen was another one, but I don't know if the Commanders would want to trade him. So I I would probably say, like, if I'm gonna have to guess, I think Jefferson gets traded. I think Reddick gets traded tomorrow because the Eagles have like three elite defensive linemen now that play the same position. And then I think a guy like I think Justin Fields gets, or no, not Justin Fields. I think Zach Wilson and Bailey Zappi, both of those guys will get traded tomorrow because it just seems like their time at their places are about to end because their teams got the quarterbacks today.
give me as well for free agent signings. Darnell Mooney tomorrow going to the Chiefs. I think that's going to be tomorrow for sure. I think they'll make a move right away. Man, I don't want to believe the Diggs stuff. Like you mentioned here with Diggs and the drama there. I think he'll stay there for now. Uh, and I don't think we'll have a Justin Fields trade. I don't think it'll be this week either. I think they're gonna really think about. They're gonna check out the Caleb Williams Pro Day and then I think make a trade. And I think that this week or next week, I can't recall when the pro day is for Caleb Williams, but uh, yeah, I don't see Diggs. I think the only one you might get, and I don't believe that for Justin Jefferson. I don't see that either. I think he's gonna gut it out one more year. Think about this too. He could have left last year. He really could have. If he asked for a trade, he could have been gone last year. Um, so I forgot what was the one person I had. Oh, well, Mooney for sure for free agency, but not for anybody else. Uh, I'm sorry, there was one person I forgot who I said at the beginning was gonna get traded tomorrow. It was the for sure one, but I can't remember who it is. Oh, T. Higgins. Um, I think Cincinnati wants to do it fast. I really do. So I'm gonna say T. Higgins on that.
Oh, it looks like we lost James. But guys, well, one last topic before we do wrap it up for the night and go to our final thoughts. And yes, I promise you, this is going to be our last program we'll be doing for the night. We won't be doing a part 3 for day 1, but maybe we'll do one for tomorrow. Who knows, depending on the moves. But breaking news.
Oh, damn.
Oh boy, oh boy, this is not good, man. This hurts me in the heart, James.
You deserve it.
So Daniel Judge Report, he's got a check mark here on X. He writes for the Athletic in Boston. He says breaking news per sources: Patriots quarterback Bailey Zappi is set to be released. So
Okay.
yeah, we thought he was going to be traded, but I guess he's going to be released. So Zappi is going to be released from the New England Patriots. The last thing I do want to get into this topic because this was very, very interesting that happened, James. And it's regarding the NFL, but not about, it's kind of regarding free agency. And I want to get your thoughts on this because I have something I really want to say about this. And let me pull it up. So right after Mac Jones was traded by the Patriots to the Jacksonville Jaguars, there have been rumors that Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi did not get along, and that it was kind of like both guys were not rooting for each other. They were rooting against each other in the quarterback room. It was a very toxic quarterback room. They didn't even talk to each other most of the times. And Zappi reportedly spent a lot of time in the receiver room talking to a lot of the receivers and just studying film by himself there. Well, Bailey Zappi liked the NFL's Mac Jones trade post on Twitter or Instagram. As you could see right over there, Bailey Zappi liked it. Now that Mac Jones is gone, Zappi probably will be gone tomorrow. James, my thoughts on it is, you know what? This is exactly why Bailey Zappi reminds me of Tom Brady, because he's cold-blooded. He doesn't give a crap what you think. He's got that mentality where it's like, okay, it's me against the world. Like, you're my mortal enemy, and I'm gonna treat you like that. I'm not gonna make any friends. Like, people will call it cold-hearted. People will call it classless. People will say and I agree. They should be Bailey Zappi and Mac Jones should have supported each other, but I feel like Belichick kind of build that environment where it's like a war zone, right? In the facility, practice field, and also game day, where every day you're fighting for your job and you just can't have friends. This is why Bailey Zappi reminds me of Tom Brady. It's something that I feel like Tom Brady would do, or a prime younger Tom Brady would do before he got all nice and cuddly. Bailey Zappi reminds me of that. Like, Brady would do this type of thing. Like, if Bledsoe had social media, if him and Bledsoe were battling, if Bledsoe he had social media back then, I think Brady would have done something like this. So for me, am I okay with Zappi doing this? Yes, because he shows that he really wants to compete. He doesn't give a crap about making friends, and he's got that chip on his shoulder, which a lot of 6th, 7th undrafted players or 6th, 7th round undrafted players always have. So, James, do you have an issue with Zappi liking a post? And karma hit Zappi hard now because he liked this post about Mac Jones getting traded on Sunday, thinking, "Oh, I'm the starter now of the Patriots," and now he's going to get released. But do you have an issue with Bailey Zappi out here liking a post that Mac Jones is traded?
No, I don't at all. It's just a new way of doing things, like you mentioned. Excuse me, if it was around back then, I think more players would have used it. So I really don't have a problem. It just goes to show you the true feelings of each person there. One thing I'm wondering though about Zappi is, where does he go from here? Does he try to go in division in the South there and with Houston or Indy? Maybe he backs up Richardson in Indianapolis. I could see that definitely, trying to meet up with Zappi 2 times, trying to get back at him. That could be a thing.
He's not going to get a starter job, that's for sure.
No. He's going to back up backup Anthony Richardson in Indy. I think to get back at Jones or go to Houston to back up Stroud. I think that'd be a cool thing. But I like this though because at least there's a little rivalry here. You could kind of see, and not rivalry, but there's a little beef here, and that's always good. I think for the entertainment value. I don't mind this. This is good.
I agree. As far as where he's gonna go, dear God. Um,
Uh-oh.
I mean, obviously San Fran because I want him, but I don't know if I want him. And I mean, I don't think he would hate Purdy because him and Purdy kind of have that same like chip on the shoulder type attitude. Um, maybe like Houston or Indy because he wants to get back at Mac Jones. It just feels like those two spite each other. And you know what, James? How about Denver? Because we don't know what Denver's going to do at quarterback. They
Yeah, I
were
can see that.
on. They were reportedly in on Sam Darnold. There's reports that they might re-sign Drew Lock because Sean Payton loves those gunslingers. I mean, Bailey Zappi's one of those short gunslingers that he's like Drew Brees. Short, can sling the football down the field. Not as accurate as Drew Brees.
No.
Doesn't have that cannon of an arm like Brees does, but you get what I'm saying. I think that Denver could he get a starting quarterback job with Sean Payton? I mean, maybe because I think if you're Sean Payton, right, would you rather trade for would you rather trade for Taysom Hill, who can't throw? He's a very good athlete, can't throw, or would you rather trade for Bailey Zappi? And I would take Zappi because you need to be able to pass well in the NFL to have a chance to win.
Yeah, I agree. He can go an array of places. That's what's good about this offseason is that if you're a backup quarterback, you don't have a lot of pressure on you. You could just go try to, vie for a job and compete for a
Raiders?
job in training camp. No, they're gonna. I truly trust that they're gonna do whatever they can to get Justin Fields.
Oh God.
I'm really thinking that they're gonna, somehow cut Jimmy G and Hunter Renfro, and then go go get another receiver, and then Justin Fields. I just have that in my mind now. It's just there. I'm thinking it'll get done, maybe next week.
You know what? Yeah, when there's smoke, there's always fire. So that's not good for
Excuse me.
sure. But guys, it's been a great show. Appreciate all you guys for tuning into the second part of our free agency spectacle here on the MI6 Sports Network and the IM6 Network. It was great to have you guys all join us. Appreciate Ben and Loro for joining us on the program today. But James, let's get into our final thoughts and wrap this baby up. I mean, we thought we were going to only do it because I thought I was only going to be
Oh,
by
God.
myself. Only thing would be like 30 to 45 minutes. And here we are going 2 hours plus again. But James, what is your final thoughts for the show? And if you have any announcements, feel free to share it.
Oh man, I don't have really announcements. Just look out for me on the chair with James. Even though I haven't really done anything, I've been just busy with this stuff here. Hills and Infield, of course. C2C. They did their free agency frenzy day one. Maybe they'll have another one like here. We'll see what happens, but I'm hesitant about tomorrow. I don't know what the hell is going to happen because we had a crazy day one, and usually things kind of died down. But of course, we're not hoping for that. We're hoping for madness tomorrow.
Definitely. We're definitely hoping for madness. Like James mentioned, check out the Coast to Coast Entertainment Network free agency special. I know Big Brandon Herrera, Crispy Bacon, Chris Mabry, and Mess Around Dave were
Yeah.
actually a part of it. Yeah. So go check it out. They had a lot of stuff to say. I know I watched part of it. It was good. But appreciate Casey King for tuning in. Casey, can't wait to see you when I visit Arizona for spring training. Maybe, James, me and Casey were thinking about going to we're maybe going to an Angels Giants game on the Thursday. So who knows? Maybe we'll do some reports from Angels spring training, as well as Cubs and D-backs, I think. And maybe we'll do some reports about those two teams. But yeah, Casey, appreciate you for tuning in. Hope to see you in Arizona next week. Christy, thanks for tuning in as well. And also Edward Lee, thanks for tuning in as well. And appreciate Ben and Laurel for hopping on. I know this was like a last minute random thing, but it's been a great show. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. And, we'll probably see you tomorrow on another edition of the MI6 IM6 Network Free Agency Spectacle. But until then, folks, stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you guys again soon.